We are going to go over short answer and reflection responses in this video. What I noticed with my Graduation Alliance students is that they'll just give a brief sentence. I'm lucky sometimes the students will actually give a full sentence, but then, or they'll just give a very basic sentence without really reading the whole requirement of questions. All of our reflection questions, especially in English and history, I'm guessing in science, pretty much anything's going to ask you to explain yourself, because that's what a reflection does, is it's supposed to explain your thinking, explain how you think about something or why you're thinking what you think, and any support that you might have to support your thinking or back up your thinking. And so it's really important that you read the question and read the prompt to make sure you have all of the required elements. But a lot of times students think, well, I answered the question, but you didn't follow the format. And the format does something to your brain, and it helps you better express yourself, which is something that's really important to be able to do in life. It helps in job interviews. It helps when you're just talking to friends. It helps when you're trying to make an argument with someone, prove your answers. Well, it just enriches and strengthens your thoughts. So it is important to follow the format. And the cool thing is, at least I know for all of the English courses and at least a couple of the history that I've seen, you will be asked a question, but they're going to provide the format for you to follow. And I'm going to review that format and then use that format to answer a couple questions, a sample prompts, okay? So let's first look at the format. In English, we use the same exact format in all English classes, 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th. No matter if you're in the quarter or the semester system, you're going to be asked to follow the same format. Every now and again, it might show concrete detail, commentary, but the format is provided and it's very similar, and it uses the exact same wording so that you know what to do. So this should create a solid paragraph. It doesn't mean you only need 6 sentences. If you see how I've got this labeled 1 through 6, your commentary or even your concrete detail might take more than 1 sentence to thoroughly answer or write. So don't get stuck on 6 sentences, though 6 would be a good minimum at least, unless you can combine them, but you do need to include the entire parts. Generally, most prompts are going to ask you to give 2 examples, so that is why you have 2 concrete details, and then your commentary is your thoughts about it. So I know I kind of jumped around there, but I just want to talk about the idea that it shouldn't just always be 6 sentences. You might need to be using more sentences, but you want to include these 6 elements. So those elements are, number 1, a topic sentence, and then a concrete detail, then a commentary, then some concrete detail, another concrete detail, another piece of commentary, and the concluding sentence. What are those? So a topic sentence, especially for your prompts, for these kinds of questions, it essentially is your answer in a single sentence. If they ask what the theme of any Marvel movie, you could talk about how never giving up accomplishes great deeds. So the prompt was, what is the theme of any Marvel movie in the world? You might say, generally, the theme of a Marvel movie is never giving up will accomplish great deeds. Something like that. Maybe you might use family or friendship, but that's a theme, okay? And that's a full sentence. So a topic sentence, in this case, your topic sentence is going to answer the prompt in a single sentence. And then if you notice, 2 and 3 here, and then here, 3 and or 4 and 5, they go together. Okay? So concrete detail is your first concrete detail is going to offer an argument, a piece of support, an example, a direct quote from an outside source. It could be anything really, as long as it's an example of something, or your reason behind something. And then what pairs with that is what's called the commentary. And this is the part I think students don't realize. I, as a teacher, am looking mostly for your commentary. Your commentary explains the concrete detail and how it relates to your topic sentence. The commentary is primarily your words and your thinking, and why your concrete detail supports your answer. So to me, it's the most important part. Okay? And then you repeat that. You'll find your second piece of evidence or your second support, or give your second example, and then provide some kind of commentary that explains, again, how that detail or that example supports your topic sentence. So you kind of repeat the pattern. And then after you've repeated that pattern, you go in and you write a concluding sentence. And I think the concept of like a mic drop is a great idea here, but mostly it just wants to kind of summarize what your primary answer was and leave your reader going, gotcha, I know what you're thinking and you're right. Okay? So generally, the next part I want to talk about is, in general, there are two kinds of questions that you're going to be asked. Excuse me. Let me go back here really quick. I'm going to get rid of my clear all drawings. Okay. So there are two kinds of questions generally, at least short response. There's going to be ones like this one, and you'll see them a lot of times in reflections, where it's really your personal opinion on something. So you're not going to have to do research and look up anything. Sometimes you might, but generally for a reflection, we try to make you just think about what we've learned for that quarter, and you're not writing about what you learned for the quarter. What you're writing about is something that attaches to the quarter. So in English 10, one of the big assignments is to write 2 paragraph arguments. And so they write 2 different paragraphs, but to really do, one of the types of paragraphs that are taught are counterclaims and rebuttals. And a counterclaim is looking at the other side's point of view. So the reflection that comes up after that asks something about why it would be important to look at both sides of an issue. So it relates to writing an argument, but it's really your thinking and kind of demonstrating your learning with that reflection. So here's an example. Who is someone you admire? And please make sure to use 2 supporting facts/details. Okay? So that's the kind of reflective responses that you might be asked to do. Another kind is one that I think a lot of students don't necessarily love. Hello. So hi, Sharik, I think that's how you say your name. Welcome to class. I'm actually just starting discussing the types of responses I'm going to be going over. So I'll backtrack really quick since you've popped in and review kind of what I had just said. So what I'm going over today is how to really maximize your points on short answer and reflection responses, because I keep noticing students who are not necessarily filling out as much as they should and completely doing the response. And so one of the really cool things that I love about our courses is that, especially in the English courses, almost every single writing assignment gives you a format to follow. And it almost always looks like what's in the purple box here, which is right here. I just highlighted it and moved it for you. You'll see something very, very similar to this in every single assignment. So I'm going to pop ahead because Sharik decided to head out. So let's go back to my lesson, or my questions. So this again is a reflective type comment prompt that you're going to see. The second one, which is where I was, is about where you actually have to find like a quote or something directly from a piece of writing of some kind. It might be a newspaper article while you're researching like an organization or a person you admire. It might be a poem. It might be a story. I know English 12 actually requires you to give evidence on several things in the story called The Crucible. So there's a lot of different ways you would have to maybe use direct quotes. And a direct quote is where you pull, word for word, pull something from another source, like this poem, or maybe a newspaper article or someone's website, and you put it in quotation marks and place it into your answer. Those quotes become your concrete details because that's your support. And so this is a different kind of response, and it's more the kind of prompt that you're going to be looking at when you are in a test. And so I think it's important to learn how to do both of those. So let's go back here, and I'm actually going to put in a text box really quick, and I'm going to follow the prompt, and you get to watch me do this. So you can, and I'm going to talk. It feels like I talk a lot when I do these modeling videos, but I think it's really important to see what my thought process is and what ends up on the page, so to speak. So I am going to choose someone that's easy for me to talk about, which is one of my kiddos. So I am going to take my son Connor, and my daughter's in the background gasping because she's heartbroken I'm not using her, though I could. Connor's just a little bit more straightforward, and I don't know if my 16-year-old wants me to divulge her whole life on YouTube. So we're going to stick to Connor because he's 10 and he doesn't care right now. So we are going to first do our topic sentence. So generally with the prompt, you want to use the prompt inside your topic sentence. So someone I admire greatly is my son, Connor John, because I'm going to give some what they call like limiting factors. I'm going to give in my topic sentence, I'm actually going to state my 2 big reasons, and then I'm going to use my concrete detail and commentaries to highlight them a little bit more. Because he handles adversity, it's a big word. He handles now that I thought about adversity, I can't think of another word. Adversity. Nope. He is strong in the face of challenges and loves making people smile, period. So there is my topic sentence. That helps me now that I've come up with my answer. I actually have my topics, at least for the concrete detail and both concrete details, and then I have to explain myself for my commentaries. So one thing about my son is Connor is 10, but he has been a type 1 diabetic since he was 2 years old. During his life. So I'm going to, so my first one is that he faces challenges really well with a smile. And he deals with it without really realizing how smoothly he handles it. And it's amazing because most people would really get negative and mad about the lot he's like, you know, what he has to handle and do on a daily basis, but he just rolls with it. And I think that that's a really powerful thing. So during his life, I'm going to say daily life because daily life, he is he could be poked with needles upwards of 15 times per day. Anything he eats impacts his health, his mood, his brain, and his emotions. He wears a pump and a CGM, which is no mean feat for a 10-year-old, for a little boy. I'm going to actually say, which means he is always wearing a medical device on his body. And this is no mean feat. Okay. Besides that, he is different. No other kiddo is like him in his school. Any person. So I've now described him, and yes, I could probably write pages about my own child. So I wrote a lot more than you would need to. But I did set up the problem because I need you to understand why I think he deals well with challenges. So I described his challenges. You could have done this in one sentence if it's a different thing. Maybe you just say he's a type 1 diabetic and handles it really well. But I believe in being very descriptive, because even when I'm grading, the more you write, a lot of times I can figure out what the answer, or if you know more than you really clearly state, because you've written enough about it. So I tend to err on the side of more, but that's my personality and my thinking. Okay. Besides that, he is different. No other kiddo like him is in his school. So that sets up the problem, and where I think any person would struggle under these conditions. Instead, Connor thrives because he has learned to keep going. He has learned that even a life-threatening disease will not keep him down. His strengths in handling this horrible hand life has dealt is something I admire and always try to emulate. That means to mimic, just a fancy word, and kind of a more, I want to be like that instead of just a copy. All right, so there's my first one, and I know it's really long. I'll try to do this second. I'll do the next assignment a little bit shorter and cleaner, or the next prompt, because I do think it's important. I love reading your reflections. Your reflections, you can get personal and go long, so to speak, and go big. Okay. So there's that one. I would guess that some of this is also some commentary, just the way I write about him. But the primary part of this there's a lot of example. This is my concrete detail, is describing. This is probably my this is probably right here, my concrete detail. And then this part is my commentary. Kaylee, come here. Okay, so then the next part, I've only done 1, 2, and 3 so far. So then I got to do 4 and 5. So my second thing I say is he is strong in the face of challenges and loves to making people smile. Connor is a jokester. the right spelling? I think that's the right spelling. We'll figure it out here in a second. Connor is a jokester and loves to make people. I'm gonna take that back. I don't want to bore you with a really long story about his jokes, though he's really proud of them and he's getting really good at them, especially the sarcastic ones because he's 10. But Connor loves to make people smile, which is an awesome characteristic. He cracks jokes, does nice things for others, and I'm just going to leave it at that. Okay? Cracks jokes and does nice things for others. Okay, so there's that. Those would be my examples. My commentary would be something like, and I could go into more detail, but I am trying to make this a little shorter so you understand that. I could give you the example of some of his jokes, but okay, here's an example of doing nice things for others. Regularly, I receive reports from school about Connor giving the last cookie or to someone, or helping someone do a chore or do their work. These acts of kindness are a regular thing, which makes me proud and makes me want to be more like Connor, period. So there's that. Again, so here is this one right here would be considered my concrete detail. It's only 2 sentences long this time. And then this here would be my referencing back to why he's someone I look up to. So then the last thing to do is write a concluding sentence. So my concluding sentence is, I'm actually going to mix the two. I think the reason that Connor is so kind is because he gets people have things going on, if that makes sense. He gets that because of his struggle with his type 1, he understands that everybody has something that they carry, kind of. And I think that that helps him be more kind to those around him, because he relies on others being kind to him when things aren't going well. And I think he understands how important that is. So I'm going to try to combine those in one sentence. Understands how hard life can be. He works hard to make others smile. And that is why he is someone I look up to. So I combined my 2 main ideas, and then I made sure to remind my reader with this, that is why he is someone I look up to. That is someone I admire, so that goes back to my response. So this right here would be my, I'm gonna do this just because it dries. This would be my response. It is a little bit longer than you're probably going to do, but if I could have condensed his information about his diabetics material, it wouldn't be much longer if I could take that part out. So I'm going to try on this next one to really keep it clean, and honestly keep it down to 6 sentences. That'll be a challenge for me, but because I like to write and I like to talk. But I am going to work really hard at doing that. Now, the thing with this one, and it might make me lose this, but I'm actually going to put us there. So Two Roads Not Taken is a very popular poem, but I have it saved on the next slide, so I'm going to go down to it. What is the primary theme in the poem? Two Roads Not Taken by Robert Frost. Provide 2 pieces of evidence to demonstrate your answer. So here's the thing. I need to know a couple pieces. I need to know that I am looking for the primary, which means the main theme. And I also need to know that I need 2 pieces of evidence to demonstrate my theme. So I'm going to have to read the poem, and I'm going to have to pick a theme, and then I have to find 2 direct quotes to use as my evidence, which will become my concrete details. These right here can be my pieces of evidence, okay? So, and these pieces of evidence would be considered direct quotes. One thing I don't think students actually use enough, they try writing a lot of summary and paraphrasing, but sometimes there's nothing that works better to prove your point than a direct quote, because the reader can actually see what you are looking at to make you think what you think for the answer. So again, we're going to save those and then see if does it go. I'm getting used to how these annotations work for my presentation, my video share. So we're going to clear all of my drawings. Okay. So then we're going to come over here really quick and look at the poem. So The Road Not Taken. 2 roads diverged in a yellow wood, and sorry I could not travel both, and be one traveler long I stood, and looked down one as far as I could to where it bent in the undergrowth. Then took the other as just as fair, and having perhaps the better claim because it was grassy and wanted wear. Though as for that, the passing there had worn them really about the same. And both that morning equally lay in leaves no step had trodden black. Oh, I kept the first for another day. Yet knowing how way leads on to way, I doubted if I should ever come back. I shall be telling this with a sigh. Somewhere ages and ages hence, 2 roads diverged in a wood, and I took the one less traveled by, and that has made all the difference. So for a theme, I'm going to pick to live your life your way. The author really said, I think that is kind of the purpose, is you should look at your choices and make the best one for you, not for everybody else. So the reason I think that, I'm going to pull up is a couple places. I definitely am going to choose this, the very end, which most of the time in poems, the last couple lines, well, all the lines should really mean something, but the last couple lines kind of are driving to their main point. So I'm going to pick that. Okay, I'm going to pick this as well, just because of what my theme is. Though I could probably pick the 2 roads diverged up here as well, but I think I'll use both of these. So I'm going to just so I don't have to come back, I'm going to do something else really quick. Need to pull up my need to save the image here. So I'm going to pull that up. copy it. And then I'm going to come back over here and paste what I've got, just so that I can see it on my screen and you can see what I'm working with. So I need to get rid of the squares really quick. Okay. So going through here, I have my evidence. I went into the poem that they asked me to if I was a student. I have my evidence picked. I've got my theme picked, and now I got to write about it. So the first thing is to write your topic sentence. And if you remember back to the first slide, the topic sentence is just the answer to your prompt. But remember, you should use some of your prompt in your answer. So the primary theme in Robert Frost's poem, Two Roads Not Taken, is that we should take our own paths in life. Okay, period. I'm going to go simple like that. I think that handles the theme for that poem, or at least one of them. So I'm going to say that I probably need to at least set up the idea of the poem, because when you are going to plunk in a direct quote, the reader needs to understand that you know where that quote came from. So as the narrator of the poem is standing at the top, or is the narrator of the poem, no, don't like it, the way I want to go with it. Okay, so the narrator is having to decide between two paths, and he, I'm going to change it to they, describe both paths and have to make a choice. As I promised, so now I'm going to actually end up being at 7 sentences, but I'm okay with that. Because I do think that this is important, and it allows me to talk then about my quotes more smoothly. They're integrated. So, wow, you want to introduce your quote. So I'm going to give my concrete detail now, though, while looking down one path. The narrator states that he will choose the, or save the first for another day. So save the first for, I don't want to use the direct words or I'm plagiarizing, for a different time. But then says, now, correctly quoting, comma, quotation marks, yet knowing how way leads on to way, comma. If it's a poem, you put in this weird little thing or the little slash to indicate that it goes to a new line. I doubted if I should ever come back. I'm going to come down here really quick. That's 1, 2, 3, 5, 10, 11, 12, 13. So lines 14 and 15. Okay, oops, because I want you to see how to correctly cite, because I am using a direct quote. We put parentheses in and lines 14/15. I don't need to say Robert Frost or Road Not Taken because I've already said that in my topic sentence. I just need to state where it came from. It's lines 14 and 15 when we're talking about poetry. Okay, so that is I have this sentence right here, this last full sentence. It introduces my quote, and then it gives my direct quote, and that works as my detail, my concrete detail. So if you are analyzing Lincoln's speech, I believe that's in 11th grade, and you needed to use a direct quote, this is a way you would do it. If you're looking at Martin Luther King, I Have a Dream speech, and you need a direct quote, like there's one of the questions I believe you have to do is find somewhere in his I Have a Dream speech where he is comparing two unlike things. So you'd have to actually use direct quotes to do that. This is how you would do that. You would introduce the quote, and then you would put word for word right here. That's my word for word, and you would cite it. Okay? Now that's your concrete detail, and now you have to explain it. Remember, commentary means to explain why you chose that to help you prove your answer. So my answer was that it should take us on our own path in life. And so my sentence is going to be, the narrator knows that he or she may not have the same choice again, and there is, which would make us think they are sad to make a choice. No, that's the wrong wording. Which could, let's change from would to could, which could make the reader believe he regrets the choice. Do I really think that's going to the theme though? But his tone and word choice, especially from you know what I want to try to, let's see here. I'm going to change, what I'm realizing is I need to change this because what I want to say is that he's not regretful, right? And we need to make our own choices. And so to do that, I don't know that what I've picked is really going to help me make that connection. So I'm going to change this to the top of that, and both that morning equally lay and leaves no step had trodden black. Oh, I kept the first for another day. Okay, and then those are lines 11 because there's 4 stanzas. So this is 14, that's 13, 12, 11. So 11 through 13. Okay, so I've changed that up. And so the narrator has made a choice and seems happy about the choice. So the road he chose, I'm gonna say they, neutral on gender. The road the narrator happy about the choice. I'm just gonna say we know this. The reader knows this. The reader can infer this because of the exclamation point and tone of the final line. It is happy and seems exuberant. Okay, so that explains that part. I'm not going to use exuberant. I'm trying to, and exciting or excited. Okay, So now there is my commentary. So this portion is just my commentary. Okay? It's me explaining how my quote relates directly to my answer, that we should take our own path. So he's made a choice of the path he will take and seems happy about the choice. The reader can infer this because of the exclamation point and the tone of the final line. It seems very happy and excited, right? All right, so then finally, the theme is really brought home in the last two lines when the narrator discusses the results of his choice. Change this again to there. Okay. The narrator states, I took the one less traveled by, and that has made all the difference. And then that is going to be 14 and 15. Lines 14 and 15. I took the one less traveled by, and that's, and notice, I know I'm being a stickler about the grammar, but I want you guys to see the correct way so you can reference it. Because the line poem over here has the A capitalized, you too should capitalize it, if you remember to do that. So now I just have, that's my second detail, right? That's detail number, so it's number 4 over here in the concrete detail. So that's my concrete detail. I do introduce it a little bit here. You don't have to, it just makes it smoother. So it would be awesome, and you'd really impress your teacher, and you'd get maybe some more points on that organization and format. But it isn't necessary, though. You could look at it as part of your concrete detail because you're introducing that concrete detail. Okay, so what does this mean? For me, this line has always said, I took the, by taking the one less traveled by, the reader knows that the narrator has walked a path not all people take. The narrator, the reader also knows that the narrator is happy with the choice because they say it has made all the difference. This phrase implies that their choice to walk their own path led to a good life. I actually think that kind of works also as a, right here. That could kind of work as a concluding sentence, but just to demonstrate how else you could do that, I'm going to end with, is it 2 roads not taken? The road not taken. I have that wrong in here. I know that looked funky. The road not taken. Okay, so, okay. I'm going to do Frost's poem tells a story of a person making a decision, and by choosing to walk the life, the path, let's stick to the good terms, less traveled by, the narrator is happier. Thus, He encourages the readers to take their own path. And that again goes back to my theme, which states that I believe that the theme is that we should all take our own paths in life. Excuse me. So this is what we end up with. That would be my concluding sentence. So obviously, this took me, I was explaining things. I wanted to make sure it was all correct. But this is a really, really, really strong, like, I would probably give extra credit if this showed up as an answer or a form of answer. It's extremely detailed. It gives really great concrete detail. You used a direct quote. And this one, you're really detailing your answers, your concrete details. But my bigger one is that you are explaining your answers. Okay, you always want to really develop your commentary, and that wants to come back to what your topic sentence was. Okay, I am going to put my email at the end of this. Please, 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 if you have any questions, email me. My email is I'm more than happy to help you with anything that you have questions on. I'm doing art and English, and I've helped create some history lessons. So please reach out if you have questions. I am more than willing to help, even if you are watching this and you are not a current student of mine. Thanks for joining me.